Hello, welcome to the Angry, Annoyed, and Amused podcast. Here I'm with Mike. So next to me is Jonnie.
Hello.
And over there's the other Mike.
Hi.
Wow, that messed me up.
It messed me up 3 notes. I went hello, not yo-yo.
Yeah.
So
well,
I went-
that's
It came so
high.
quick.
yeah.
'Cause he
I know.
did- He did hello, so I went high.
And my order, I forgot like what I said. The three
It
things.
ruined
Well,
everything.
nonetheless, Matt's not here this week or today. Really,
This
this
week.
hour.
He's not.
Yeah.
He's not here right now.
He's not here right now, and we're doing one without him. So
We'll just get
if you
started
miss
without
Matt, you know,
Might have to be a
comment
two,
about it or
might
something.
Have to be a 2-episoder anyway.
complain to somebody who cares. Yeah. So this is my topic, so I'll get it rolling. And specifically with the New York mayoral election going to Mamdani being a Democrat socialist, I feel like I've been seeing a lot of, and this has been going on for years. I don't think this is like a new development, but people really like to rail against capitalism.
Yep.
And say that capitalism was the downfall of America and all this stuff. And I just wanted to defend capitalism because, you know, I think in the modern, like, I understand that people are disheartened, like, in America, and they feel like it's the fault of capitalism because we are sort of basically a capitalist nation. But I just think it's you know, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because I think what's taken over the U.S. is like this, you know, call it cronyism or whatever. And I think mostly corruption in the government, things of this nature have like corrupted capitalism. It's the same, and to be fair, it's the same as the argument that like you would hear from like a true socialist or like a communist when you say, well, whereas communism worked, and then they say, well, that wasn't real communism because it didn't work. And
Well,
it's like,
each time-
I do believe capitalism operates here.
Each time they try socialism, it fails.
Yeah. Well, I'm just
Right.
saying, like, to
Socialism
use the
can take a good country to a bad country in a short period of time.
yeah,
Done it to a few.
right,
Right.
yes.
But capitalism hasn't failed yet per se.
Yeah, well, it hasn't. Well, this is all I'm saying is that I understand that if I say cronyism, right, and I say the development of monopolies and these things, I think people who are generally anti-capitalist would say that's a natural product of capitalism in the way that I would say a natural
The
product of
greed
socialism
and all of that
is
stuff.
dictatorship. Like,
Right.
it's impossible for the community to really own anything. Eventually, it's going to be a guy. As long as he's a good guy, it might work. The second it's a bad guy, it totally falls apart.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who are anti-capitalist would say cronyism and this, like, there's a word for it. Corporatism, maybe better than cronyism. Corporatism.
But is capitalism is capitalism a product of our government? Like,
Well, so this is the thing, right? I listened to the reason, and really what was making me think about it was I listened to a podcast. I can't remember the name. I would give them a shout out.
I'm
I haven't
angry,
listened to it
annoyed,
in a
and
while.
amused.
Yes, we'll shout out ourselves.
yes.
No, but there's a podcast that does like it talks. You know, it's I guess philosophical is the wrong word. It talks about ideologies, right? You can listen to one about communism from its like historical roots, the teachings of it, kind of basically like the actual Marx communism, and then how it was kind of developed in different places, and they did the same thing with capitalism, right? And I listened to the capitalism one, and as I was listening to it, I was like, in its basic, I understand there's issues like there would be with any ideology, but it's the most, I think, and it seems clear to me that we've made the most developments in the world. I understand it's also a timing thing. It came about at the right time, so to speak. But it seems like clearly the best ideology or philosophy for governing, or an economic, I guess. It's not really a governing body. It's not really a governing ideology. It's really economic. And it's the most genius for one simple fact, which is I do think it is, because every other thing has to kind of impose what people should do. And capitalism, I think, is really the only true version of an economic system that goes, forget about what people should do if we all lived in a better place. What do people do? And to be fair, like, people, their main gripe, I think, with capitalism would say that it allows greed. And that greed can take over, right? And in socialism, you can't be greedy because you don't own anything.
Right.
And that's an argument like that we can get into, because that's why I think so, like, why it doesn't work.
That's right.
But capitalism says people are going to be greedy.
But you could
The
be,
way we can
you could
beat
be
him-
greedy too, though, right?
Everybody can, but the
Everybody could be
way
greedy.
you beat greed in a truly free market is you can't be that greedy, because your business will fail. You cannot not pay your employees, because in a true free market, there's another company that wants those employees for more money. Or
Right.
you can't, in a true free market, you might go, I'm greedy. You know, I've been selling bread for 50 years for $2, and I've been doing well. But you know, everybody buys my bread. Why not make it $10?
Right.
The reason greed, you cannot be greedy and that greedy in a capitalist society. Is that the guy down the block's going, oh, perfect, he's finally selling for 10. I'm gonna sell for 3. I'm now selling the bread as long as my bread's decent enough, right? So my basic argument is that, but really where I think we went wrong is the corruption in the government and the corporatism, which is like, once you have a monopoly, that's not a free market. That's quite the opposite. Yeah. And but the government slowly let all of these corporations own everything.
Right. So
that's not capitalism working correctly.
The way you to break up monopolies or keep companies from becoming monopolies, but over time, what happened? Our government
became bought out by the huge companies. Got big,
right?
The way you
and
describe
they pay all
it,
these corrupt people,
politicians.
The way you describe it though is like, you ever see that skit with the eggs? The guy selling eggs for like $2, and the guy next to him comes and sells them for like. Well, he starts like $4, and he sells them $3, and then he goes to $2. He goes to buys them all, and then sells them for $10. Right. Yeah. That's exactly
right. And that is so. I think regulation is meant, or should have been meant to, in my estimation, keep the market free, right? Because I think a lot of times when people say free market capitalism, what you would hear on the other side is, so just don't do anything to the market, and that's how we end up with billionaires, if you just have no regulation. And I don't think that's the case. I think capitalism demands regulation, but the regulation should only be to get the market to a free and fair place, would be the argument, right? Like, think about with rents. I was arguing with Matt, he's missing. We'll talk about, I'm sure we'll have another episode about something like this. But we were arguing about that I don't understand the idea behind the rent freezes. I'm like, somebody's losing and we're paying, right? Like, there's just no way you can just decide to stop, or the free like any of the Mamdani current socialism stuff, but just the general socialism thing of, well, let's give more stuff to people. I'm like, you do have to increase taxes. And my take is like, why do we even need, like, how is it possible that so many people need houses and there are houses that they can be in or apartments and it hasn't worked out, right? Because a free market, the economic, like the actual entire basis of it is it would work itself out, right? But the problem, I think, and this I could be slightly wrong about because I don't know particularly with New York, I don't know all the ins and outs of like building, there's so much, but well, I'll just do the thing and then we'll roll back. The solution would be a true free market where so somebody has a building that has like nice apartments and they're like, I want to sell these apartments for $2,000, and they can't because nobody can afford it. They have two options, right? They can lower the rent and say, I was going to be making, $500,000 a year. I have to be okay making $250 to make anything because if I don't sell. And then Matt says, well, it's actually cheaper for a lot of these developers to not put anybody in the houses. And I was like, that doesn't make sense.
I mean,
but it makes sense if it's BlackRock, right? That's the issue. It makes sense if it's a massive
I don't think that works with rent. I think that works with like
office building.
I just don't. Space.
That was like the argument, right? That apparently there's a bunch of houses that are just sitting.
From one guy I saw today, the issue is like they have apartments that need to be renovated, right, for people to live in them. They don't want to put $100,000 into the apartment.
That's
to
a different thing, though.
Right,
but that would exactly answer my.
But that's the reason why they leave those apartments empty because it's like
it's not worth it to renovate.
The $100,000 is not worth it to me. Now, probably he's got 10 units in the thing and he's got 5 rented, and it's like I don't need, right?
Yeah,
because his 5 is covering everything. Right, because like, you don't build a building and say I got to be 100% rented in order to make money. Obviously,
right? Yeah, you would have some built into your.
So that's part of
the business model.
That is part of it.
But I think what Matt's talking about, like if you had like an old gas station, and it like went out of business, and it was just falling apart, it's cheaper to leave it unrented because I think you can get like tax breaks and all that rather than fix it up.
See, so that though, having tax breaks for that, those kinds of things are regulations that make it less of a free and fair market,
right? Not
more, and not like it doesn't benefit whoever they think it's benefiting, right? Like, okay, let's actually go into some of like the socialist policies and how I think it differs, right? The buses, because it's like a simple one, free buses.
That seems crazy.
But my issue with free buses, or not with free buses, but the idea is like, okay, so they're what, $3?
Yeah,
right. It's the same as a $2.90, yeah, $2.95, and express buses are more.
7.
And Mamdani's saying that's, I guess, too expensive, or it's just like to make things cheaper overall. A lot of people have to use the buses. Let's make it free. Right?
I mean, it sounds great.
Fine, sounds great. Obviously, to do that, somebody is paying.
Considering
those
that
buses still operate, they use electricity and
the
gas
the
and
transit
drivers.
fares go up
I know,
annually,
and we just put in
right?
congestion
Like they
pricing
go up
to help
annually,
with
and we
it.
put congestion pricing to help.
So how's he going to get that
How
money?
are you going to have free? Like you still got to pay bus drivers.
Right.
There's still maintenance on the buses. Right. There's all the costs associated with the running them and everything.
Billions.
How could it be free?
He's going to raise
It's not free.
taxes.
Right.
And the 2% that he raises the millionaires, if it paid for the buses, then it can't possibly pay for anything else.
Right.
Like there's no way.
Right. I agree. And I just think that the real solution,
Go on, anyway.
right? If the goal is to have cheap and effective or like good, clean buses, is to allow privatization of bus routes, right? Because they now have an incentive to have good things. There's no incentive for the MTA to make all their buses clean. They don't really care about people. A system
It's all about the money.
they can't possibly care, right? Because they're not people.
Yeah.
I mean, the MTA has workers.
Right.
But you're not telling me that like the MTA cleanup crew is filled with a bunch of people who are like, I don't really care about the money or work. I just want New York City buses to be clean.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Like that just doesn't exist. So, but they have no incentive because they're owned and operated by the government, which is everything that's owned and operated by the government is worse
But if you
than the
privatize
private
the
equivalent.
buses,
there are
if you privatize
states-
the buses, you still got to pay for
No,
them.
but there are
Yes,
states
but,
and
but
other.
now you have somebody coming in who says, I have, 10 Greyhounds cost this, and this, right? Now, the one issue you will run into with privatization, if you just privatized everything, is that certain things are just not worth existing, right? Like, it might be the case that buses are just not a good business model.
Well, one of
Right,
the ways I think.
so then the city has to bite the bullet of saying, we are going to lose money on this because it's a bad product.
Right.
But when that happens, the city should go, we know this is a money suck, and don't offer free buses as a solution. Like, that's not a solution.
They can't do it free,
There
but
is
they can definitely make it
nothing
cheaper.
Nothing is truly free. But if you can make it cheaper, make it free.
No,
Like, this is
because-
also the issue
no,
with
because
all
one
of
of the
the
things-
anytime you're saying tax people more.
Other states and other countries have done ads. Like we do them on the sides of the buses and trains, but they also put ads on like the TVs inside and stuff like that
To make revenue.
And it makes revenue.
Yeah,
So therefore,
there's
that goes
ways.
back.
There's ways
I'm
to like
saying.
lower the pricing. I'm just saying, as a general rule, right? Like privatization does all of those things
Right.
by itself.
Right.
Because the idea of privatization is like now somebody, they're chasing profits.
Right.
But in order to get the profits, they have to have a good product in a truly free and fair, right? Because think about it, we have MTA buses. If Mamdani said tomorrow, he's like, you know what? I talked to Hochul, taxes can't go up. I can't deliver on the free and nice buses. So what I'm doing is opening up a private bus system that's called the Mamdani Express. That is a for-profit, but we're
bad.
offering it to. No, but he's like, so New York City buses are $2.95. Mamdani buses are $2, and they're cleaner. I bought a brand new fleet. He's like, my parents are rich. I bought a brand new fleet, owned and operated by me, the mayor, because I promised this and I couldn't get it for you guys, so I'm going to do it anyway, right? That $2 bus would be cheaper,
Right.
right? And it might be better. Like, it might be cleaner. He has brand new 40 buses, right? But now nobody's going to use the MTA buses. They lose that revenue.
Right.
But now if he's like, okay, now they're getting dirtier because there's tons of people using them. I can't get everybody on the buses. Not everybody's happy about it.
buses,
I'm
more
going to I'm going to sell another bus route to Cuomo, right? And Cuomo goes, I'm going to open it for $150. Like, that's how competition works,
Right.
And then somebody goes, I'm opening another bus line. Mine's not $150 or $2. It's still cheaper than the original MTA bus. It's $250, but they're way cleaner and safer. I have a security guard on each bus. Now somebody's going, I'll pay $250 for the security guard because I was on the $1.50 buses, and yeah, it ran, and it was $1.50, but there was a bunch of homeless guys, and I'd rather the extra dollar. Right. That's what privatization does, which the city can never do. Right. They cannot work like that because there's no reason to be better.
That leads to something that needs to be regulated then, right? Because then you got 35 different bus companies operating.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with 35 bus companies.
And that has to be regulated too, though.
I just don't see anything wrong with 35 bus companies.
No, because they have to be somewhat regulated in terms of like where they're going, what routes they're riding. Like all of that stuff matters.
I truly don't think so. Only when you look at it from a citywide perspective, right? And I'm saying maybe buses isn't the best example because I have a feeling buses are probably not a winning business model. There's probably
Look at the school bus companies, man. They seem to churn out money like crazy.
Is that I didn't know that.
The school bus company, like the school buses that do sports and they do schools, obviously, and all that stuff.
They make money.
Constantly.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's
They're always
Greyhounds,
being used,
or not Greyhound, like Greyhounds are, but there's
I don't know. The
The
coach,
charter
best buses, charter
all of
buses.
those, like they make
Yeah,
money.
coach always seems
Right.
like they're going
Yeah.
under.
right.
Oh,
I,
you think
I'm just
so?
saying,
Yeah.
like this might be a bad. Buses might be a bad argument, right? But what I'm saying about the
Scrap the
35
iPad.
is you also have to look at it like if you say, hey, citywide, I want to be able to hop on an MTA bus anywhere and get to anywhere. And you're like, in order for that to happen, there needs to be a
It's not a bad
socialization
argument,
of
right?
it.
Because it's not a bad argument because if you think the trains started out as independent, they weren't.
No,
city
this is
owned.
why it's a bad argument.
City
It's
run
not-
and city owned, right? But then
Yes.
somehow the government steps in.
The reason
city
they step
steps
in, the reason they step in is
Michael's
because
the only one that talks on this.
no, it's
podcast.
because not everybody's getting it. Well, okay, why did they step in?
I don't know.
Will you go? Sorry for interrupting.
It's
What
okay,
would you
go
like?
ahead. What were
Would
you
you like
gonna
to
say?
finish your thought?
No, I don't know what it was anymore. I don't know where I was
The
headed. with that.
trains.
The trains used to be
They were
run.
independent, but at some point the city says we got to take it over
Why?
to control it, right?
Not exactly.
For whatever
Why do they
reason.
have to control it?
I don't know. That's the point.
Because it was a way for them to make
a
money.
way for them to make money, probably.
The,
Right. That's exactly
MTA
the issue. That's
MTA
what I'm
is
saying.
definitely not suffering from money.
No, because this is what would happen.
If you ask them, they are.
It's
No,
because
they're
they
suffering 'cause
don't
every year
watch all the people clocking in for
So
overtime and stuff
privatizing
like that.
anything is better than the government running it. Period.
Right. It becomes a better
Yeah.
product.
Right.
Right. The thing that will happen, and this is the issue if you allow 35 bus companies, is certain bus companies won't go to certain areas at all.
Right.
Right.
And that is why the government steps in and they go, these people have to have buses. This neighborhood has to have buses. And so it has to be a socialized system, but that's always a failing market. Like that's just the thing, right? Like
I can't wait.
all capitalists, right? Like you would, like if they go, you know what, MTA, we're just going to turn it off, right? You can take over all the MTA bus routes. We're going to turn the buses off. Anybody, if you want to do it, you do it. Some entrepreneur is going to go, I can run a bus from, here to here, 6 stops. It'll be fast. I've done the math. We'll do it at this time, and this time. It'll be these buses. I'll do it for $2. I'll make money. Everybody gets to where
Look
they
at
want
those
to go.
Asian
right?
Asian
But like,
ones.
there's areas that they wouldn't go because it's not fiscally beneficial.
Right.
And then the government's going to throw a stink because that neighborhood's going to go, we want buses. And it's like, okay, but if it's not fiscally beneficial, it is just a social. Like then, yes, you have to allow.
But that's where okay.
But this is the issue with socialism is-
regulating private companies, right? And saying well, if you're going to have
You have to go
a
here.
bus company in the city, you have to have a route here, or you have to have a route there. It's the same thing they do with the buildings, right? If you're building a building, so many units have to be low income now.
Yeah.
Right. You can't build it and just rent for whatever you want anymore. It's got to be like, you want 15
Yeah.
units. 10
Right,
10
I'm
of
saying-
those have to be low.
I'm saying
income
this
units, and you
happens,
can do
these
whatever
things
you want with
happen.
The other 5.
Right. These things happen, and then they blame capitalism for not being good enough. And I'm like, it's not the fault of capitalism.
It's not. It's the government
the
always
government.
stepping in.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, fine, socialism, and then for the roads, right? Like roads are a common. If somebody says I'm totally anti-socialism, somebody who goes, well, you can't be totally anti-socialism because we obviously all have to pay for certain services that we all share,
Right.
right? But I'm like, what? Roads, which are terrible,
Horrible.
like they never get fixed. They go, how long with potholes and all this. So I'm like, okay, so I pay. Yeah, I guess the roads exist. So sure, I paid for that in some capacity, but it doesn't seem like I'm getting whatever money is allotted to the road crews isn't getting to them because the roads are not being fixed. Or education. I'm like, I don't know. The public education system is like supposedly world-renowned poor. Like we're that bad
Right.
for a first world country to be like terribly uneducated for the public. So I'm like, so where's so that's not a great example of socialism working because you kind of can't have both where it's like, we're going to socialize this, but it's going to be good. Those things cannot really coexist.
Right.
And this is my further issue with the whole idea of socialism, which is I just don't ever see a stopgap, right? Like I don't understand if you're Mamdani and you go, I'm going to make buses free by taxing, or buses free is kind of like a one-off, right? But let's say what, like lower grocery costs,
He must make grocery stores. Yeah.
right? He's like, I'm going to tax. Well, he wants to make his own grocery stores, which so are only certain people allowed to shop at those? Because that's kind of an inequality right there.
That'd be wrong.
That I don't know, but I don't
Right,
know
but I'm saying he's going to have super cheap grocery
How's
stores.
he gonna do it cheaper?
He's going to use subsidies from the government. So he's going to have taxpayer. Well, I know he's going to have
So it's
taxpayers
not-
pay money,
It's like
and then the richer people are going
it's
to
all
pay
a shell
more.
game.
Right.
And then those groceries are artificially cheaper. It would normally be $6. Mr. Rich Guy down the block paid $4 of the dollars. Now it's $2 at the government-owned store. Right. So fine, but my take
gonna
always
always
is
be empty.
if socialism works at all, why not tax everybody everything and the government decides everything? Right? Like that is the clear. Right? Like people go, well, you have to be sort of democratically socialist. Like, And I'm like, yeah, but if it works, if what you think works, if you think that giving more money to the government creates better things, why not give all the money to the government and have the best things?
Don't some countries do that already? They give
not
like 40,
all. No,
but some countries give like 47% of their pay.
Well, some give a lot, but I think those countries are generally A, culturally homogenous, B, super high trust. So like their systems work.
Right, what I'm saying, they have free education.
They don't have anybody
health.
but people aren't taking advantage of any of the systems at all.
No, right.
They have a very they're more communally driven.
What? Give me one of those.
Like the Swedish,
Sweden.
like they're all considered like the shining examples of democratic socialism.
They give a bigger percentage, but they get everything for that percentage.
Yeah, but it's a smaller. It's just like it's not even.
Yeah.
It's really hard to scale certain things, right? Like I personally, I think, and maybe it's not personal. This might be a fact. I don't know if you can look it up, but the best political economic system ever is just a dictatorship. If the dictator's a really, really good, smart guy. That's true. Like that's just a fact because it's the quickest, right? He can do anything at any time. If he's a genius and he's a good guy, that's the best system. But it's clear it never works because people don't work like that, right? They're gonna have a bad one. Like there have been good kings that have like good kingdoms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, these countries exist, but they're not. I don't think they're relatable to the U.S.
No.
You know, but it's just that's just my thing with
you do have to go deeper into those things because even in Sweden, there's problems, right?
Yeah.
With certain services and things like that. It's not a perfect system either.
Yeah, well, they just get considered like the better. If you say, "Oh no, socialism doesn't work," they go, "What about these countries, which aren't totally socialist?" I'm just saying, like, I don't understand. If I was face to face with Mamdani, and I was like, "Why do you think we need private anything? Why not take all the money from everybody? You know how to better redistribute it. Your whole plan is that you know that you can do better with the money than we can naturally, right? You know that people deserve buses and food, and you can give it to them. You just need more money. So why not take more money? Why not take all of it?" But they never. But they can't. I know. But this is what I'm saying. There is no natural. There's no natural stop to somebody who's like, yes, we're going to tax the rich only 2%, and then we have this. Because let's say that happens. Let's say it all works perfectly. He taxes the rich 2%. Nobody leaves. They all pay it. He gets free buses, free child care, and whatever. Right? You're telling me next election he's going to go, well, I can't tax him more. Right. I told him 2%. I taxed him 2%. Or next election, everybody's going to go. His voting base, which is just disillusioned, really like middle class people who think they should be, I don't know, better off. Like I don't really get that too. Like it's not all poor people. So I'm like, if you live a normal life, yeah, it's unaffordable in New York, but it's not that you live here.
Right.
If it was that unaffordable, you wouldn't be living here. But that's besides the point. But they're gonna go, okay, so that all worked. Like free childcare is great. Free this. Like what about cheaper this? Free that. Mm-hmm. And then what is Mamdani gonna go? Well, no, I'm not gonna raise taxes again.
Right.
They're going, well, raising taxes worked. Raise more taxes on the rich guys. And he's going, all right, 2% more.
Right.
But like there's an eventual, like you can't.
It's going to break.
Right. It's going to break. Maybe this one works. Maybe all the rich people are like, 2%'s not bad.
It's not bad for
this Mamdani fella seems cool. You know, I don't think he'll push it. They get the 2%. He's like free bus, which also those things aren't.
I just don't even think the 2% is going to cover everything. I don't know what the calculations are, but
from what he says, right? He says 2% creates.
He's got a lot to do with that 2%. Or whatever. Even $8 billion.
Well, he also has no personal say over the taxes at all.
Right.
He can lobby for it, but it doesn't matter.
Even if he gets it,
but who sets the city tax?
The governor.
The governor. But
that's all still through Albany.
But city though too.
Mm-hmm. Taxes, I believe, all go through Albany.
Because our city taxes are separate. There's a
city.
There's a state tax.
Right.
And then there's a city tax.
But the city tax is low. He can't raise the city tax.
I don't think he can raise the city tax by himself.
But he can't. I don't think he can raise that 2%.
I don't think so.
Because
I don't know how they do it by brackets.
City tax is low.
I believe it all goes through Hochul.
Not that low.
Well, you can look it up.
Yeah, but to add 2%, that's huge. Yeah. I'd say he has to. Yeah, he can't.
Well, it's 2% on top of what's already like nearly 50% for a lot of people. But again, like it's just I really don't see a natural stopgap, and I feel like once you realize that, it's like, oh, so this system is just there's really one assumption of socialism, which is, or one at its base, which is there are people who are going to not benefit from whatever other system you're in, right? Let's just use capitalism, socialism. Socialism goes, there are people who are not succeeding in capitalism. There's poor people, there's people without houses, all this. If we can take the money from the people who have stuff, We can give things to the people who don't and create a fair and equitable society. And that sounds great. It does. Until you look at the natural conclusion, which is...
he's looking to raise the city income tax.
And that he can do by himself?
That he can do. The state corporate tax he can't.
So he can raise it. Okay. So the city. So fine, the 2%. Maybe he does it, right? But I'm just saying, as a general, like not even his specific policies necessarily, like to argue about, but socialism is going. People are failing. There's poor people. There's homeless people. Maybe because of capitalism. Maybe because it's just the way the world is.
They still do need approval from the state.
Okay. And socialism goes.
For the city tax.
And socialism goes as long as everybody gives us more stuff, we can fairly and equitably pass it out. And I just don't think there's any evidence ever that the government can do things fairly, equally, or effectively.
Nope.
What does do that is capitalism done properly. Right? Because there's a fiscal incentive to providing things at a cheaper price to people.
Unfortunately, we've gotten to a place where 25% of the country believes in socialism at this point.
25%?
Well, that's because they're the have-nots, and they think it's as simple as, well, all these people have money, just take their money and give it to me. And it's like clearly not that simple, but there's a lot of dumb people. I mean, our education system is like terribly poor, right? Like everybody talks about that.
The largest part of his voting base is, college-educated women. That's like the biggest part of who's voting for this guy.
Well, I just read a study yesterday. Which makes total sense to me, but I'm gonna get called a misogynist for it. But women are more susceptible to propaganda, like by a lot, and then men are the second movers, and really it's like men who are moving to the women because they want to sleep with them.
Where did you read this?
You can look it up. I read it. I saw the study on Instagram, and I went I followed the thing.
Give your source information. They can't consider you a misogynist because it's not your idea.
Oh, I can find it.
You read a study on this thing.
No, but it makes sense. I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense. I mean, I just think from my life, and this is the misogyny part, I do think it seems to me that, I guess everybody wants to fit in. But it seems like that girls not fitting in is more of an issue than guys not fitting in for themselves, not for anybody else. True. You know what I mean? Like they're more... So when the propaganda goes, if you want to be a good person, you got to be a Democrat. I think women are more likely to go, I'm a good person. I'm a Democrat.
Yeah.
I'll try to find it. I'm just saying it's a small example. Then you went. Well, you said they're all college educated.
They are, but that I saw it. That's a fact. I mean, it's out there. It's in the numbers.
Right. I know.
Just look up the numbers. It's a fact. That's who's really voting for this guy. And if you see all the protesters out there, who are they? Look who was protesting today again.
What were they protesting today?
Trump's presidency.
What were they protesting? Really?
Trump's
for what?
Presidency. They were all dressed in the Handmaid's Tales. Handmaid's Tale, is that what it is?
Got a job.
Handmaid's Tale. Which that Handmaid's Tale thing.
Right.
I should have read more about it, but it has its roots in some Islamic society thing, some book or something, or something that actually happened.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to read up a little bit on it, but I don't want to say any more about that. But
we'll talk about that when Madani takes over, and we're all praying.
January 1st.
What time did the bell start?
Okay, it's a study from University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Women in Conflict, the Psychological Effect of Propaganda in Conflict.
Okay, good. So
and I mean, I'm not going to read the entire abstract, but basically, if you want to look it up,
if you want to look it up, that's what it is.
But
look it up.
I don't know. It is like I understand the idea that like people are dissatisfied. A lot of people feel like they can't afford everything, right? But because the solution to that isn't to steal from other people. That's kind of basically it.
Getting trained over the last 40 years, right? That's because someone's better than you. It's because you're not as good as someone, or you don't have as much as someone else. You should be able to have their stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is what they've been moving to. This is
Wasn't there a thing
this is
too?
what we've been fighting against for years, right? Communism / socialism, whatever you want to call it.
Well, socialism is communism.
Aren't younger people now telling
Communism
older people to give their houses to younger people or something?
Well, yeah.
Well, that's the thing that bothers me specifically about people who are really for this. Is I'm like, you're not poor. Right. Well, I mean, there are poor people, but like somebody who I'd be talking to, like it's on, like, I don't know, my rugby team. Like they're very pro Mdani, a lot of them. I'd be like, all right, but like you do all right. There are poor people than you. Why don't you give your house up?
Right.
You're saying.
You're right. They're never going to do that.
Right. I know that's not a great example because they live in one house.
They never do what they're saying.
Bernie has 3 houses now.
Bernie has 3 houses. I'm like, give 2 of them up. Because you're complaining
because he wrote a book
about rich
people. He
people.
He wrote a book, so he was able to buy
right.
3
But
houses.
if the core of your belief is, you know what I mean? Like if the core of your belief is like, well, I don't need all this stuff. I'm like, all right, man. But then all of my
Bernie should be giving everything up. Bernie should be living in a shack someplace.
No, we should have one nice house. With
one, he could have one nice house. You can have one nice house and then get rid of the other 2. Or like to people who I know are not doing terribly poor. Yeah. Like they're not they're not being forced out of New York. I'd go, well, if this is what you want, why don't you buy your food and your shelter, and every other dollar you make, donate.
Give it away.
Why don't you do that? Why do you go on trips?
Does that.
Why are you allowed to go on trips?
They went to college. They got $250,000 in debt coming out of college, and they took, a major that has nothing to do with anything they could ever do in life, right? Other than walk the streets and protest.
No, I'm talking about people who have normal jobs.
They have no skills.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, I'm talking about people who have normal jobs who just feel like I'm not killing it.
More.
But like it'd be nice if this was free. My rent is expensive, and there are people with billions of dollars, and they don't see the hypocrisy in like, yeah, but your basic, the basic, like tenet of what you're saying is because I have less, people with more should give me stuff.
Yeah,
and I'm like, there are people with less than you. Why don't you give stuff? And they're like, well, I don't actually have. I'm not a person who has enough.
Yeah.
Once you have enough, which I deem at some level,
who decides?
Right, like it used to be millionaires until Bernie became one. Now it's billionaires, and it's like, okay, yeah, it seems like an easy target to go. Well, okay, billionaire seems excessive,
right?
But again,
the basic thing.
But again, it's because over the years people have been told, right? People with more than you should give it up.
Oh no, I agree with your sentiment. I'm just saying it clearly doesn't help.
Life was going along well, right? Things were going well in this country, right? People were able to buy a house on one salary, blah blah blah. Then people started to say, 70s. Well, you should have more because this guy has more, right? You should have more because he has more. So we should take some from him. We should take some from him, and that's where it went.
Yeah.
And we've been indoctrinated over the last 40 years to believe that. Not everybody's been indoctrinated that way, fortunately.
So you guys don't
think? But it seems like 25% of the country feels that.
I don't feel this way, but you guys don't think, because I work with someone I had this argument with the other day, that like there shouldn't be anyone worth more than like 10 million. Like anything after.
No,
you make as much as you could.
I don't
make
think
as
so.
much as you could and be a good person and give it back in some way, right? But
yeah, I don't think.
You make.
I
as
wouldn't
much
put
as you
any
can.
limits on anybody making money.
Limits on anybody.
You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna tell me that Elon Musk is gonna take out all, like, also by the way, most billionaires, it's not. They don't. Nobody has liquid. Nobody's walking around with $500 million in a bank account that at the drop of a hat. It's all in stocks and stuff. And like, I understand the argument of what.
That's why he's still working.
What?
Johnny said he does.
I have it in my bank, 500 million.
Well, yeah, but like if you have, so I understand the argument of, well, we can't tax their net worth because they just own stock, but then they take out loans against their stock,
right?
And that's their cash, and like it's always workarounds. I'm like, yeah, but those people will always have workarounds.
Right.
So like, sure, you can say, well, that's not fair, and it isn't, and I'm not saying that's fair, but I just don't think. I do think like things have gotten more expensive. I've complained multiple times on this podcast about how housing is unaffordable. I can't really buy a house. I have a job. My now fiance has a job, and us together can't buy a house in New York City. I think that's wrong. I think there's ways to fix it. I just don't think the ways to fix it is by stealing from other people.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. Like there must be other solutions. There's no way. The only way out of this hole that we've dug is to take money from people who made it.
Figure out how to make more money, or go live in a place where
it's cheaper. Right.
I mean, there are ways.
I do think there are ways through economic policy to make things more affordable. I just don't think the way is always. It's not always just tax more people.
Didn't Seinfeld do an episode?
Like, housing used to be affordable, and it wasn't just affordable because they taxed rich people,
right?
And then gave people tax, like, you know what I mean? That's not how that worked. It wasn't like a housing.
Everything was affordable.
It was affordable. Yeah. There's so much into
before all the social programs started. They started giving out money.
Yeah.
All of that stuff mattered. Then they had to tax you more, and then this and that and everything. Yeah. You're still getting like I got to pay property taxes every year.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the property. I shouldn't have to pay property taxes every year, but they needed that money for something.
Yeah.
Everything pays for something.
Even if you have to pay property taxes, it should end when your mortgage ends.
It should.
You shouldn't have to pay it the rest of
your life. Or at least at a minimum when you retire.
Yeah. And if you can't,
right?
And if you can't pay it, you shouldn't lose your house.
No.
That's crazy.
You paid for the house. You paid for the land.
Yeah. I mean,
it was yours, but you got to pay taxes on it.
Like, I'm not going to say that I know the solution to, cheap housing or like whatever now, but I just don't think the solution can ever be steal from people, because like my point is generally that's an ever moving target. unless you really think, and if you really think this, you're dumb, right? So that's the secondary issue. But like, if you truly think all we have to do, the only issue in America when it comes to affordability and economics is that rich people aren't taxed enough. If you think that's the case, if you think we're going to say, if Trump tomorrow goes, you know what, you guys are right, we're going to tax everybody who makes over $5 million a year, we're going to tax them 99%. And you're like, oh, okay, so America's now affordable and everything's good again.
No,
you're
listen,
stupid. Like, if you think that,
the solution
you're dumb.
to the problem is where is the money going? That's really the solution to the problem.
Yes,
where is the money going? Not where's the money coming from.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's tons.
Totally. There's more than enough money to do all the things that you want to make affordable. Because it doesn't go to any of those places.
People out there that are willing to donate to things and all of that good stuff. Where is the money going?
Yeah.
You know,
look at the MTA.
The whole government waste thing, all the way from on every level, should be looked at.
It's totally government waste, and then they just get to shove it along and say, we just need more money.
Right.
Like, that's what blows my mind. Everybody thinks that the government is corrupt and ineffective. And yet, half of the voting base goes, yes, they are corrupt and ineffective, but if we give them more money, they will become more effective and less corrupt.
Right.
I don't understand that.
You know,
like, that's simple.
People that it's a more money thing, and it's not.
Yeah, I mean, the people who are super pro Mamdani.
Tell us where you're spending your money. Tell us where the money's being spent, and let us decide where it goes.
Yeah, the pro Mamdani people are the anti-Trump people. Yep. They say Trump's a fascist, but we want Mamdani to have as much money as he needs to give us stuff.
Right.
Like, square that circle for me. Like, you know what I mean?
You can.
Like, they had a no kings protest, and then a week later, they're like, we want Mamdani to be the king of New York. Right. Yeah, we want to give him all the money and let him give us stuff. Yeah. And like, that's not how. It's like the most classic, right? What was it, Reagan? I know people hate him and goes back and forth, but Reagan, the famous quote about like, the worst thing you can hear is, "I'm the government. I'm here to help."
Yeah.
And that was the basic of like America. Is like, let people operate. The government should just keep certain, regulations over things and protection. And now we've gotten to the point where it's like, no, give everything to the government and let them hand stuff out. Everything. I'm like, that seems like everybody thinks that's a bad idea until it's on one side, until AOC says it. And now it's like, well, I know that she's a good person, so if she's a president, I'll give her all my money. Right. And it's like, all right, like, if you think that's the case, fine.
That said, every 20 years we need something like this. We need like a Mandami guy, to run a city into the ground.
To open people's eyes.
To say, but I think we're down a path right now. Like I said, if 25% of the country believes in socialism at this point, we got a problem.
We've already. I think we're past that point. I don't know if I've said this when we talked about all the other things. I think whatever nefarious, whether it's the actual communists during like the Red or post Red Scare or whatever,
because the other
whoever got their hooks in
is what. They said all Mandami has to do really is just keep the city afloat for 4 years,
and they'll call it a win.
He did a great job,
and then they get to go democratic socialism. Yeah,
exactly. So that's the other side of the coin. Like if as long as the city,
he got to do one thing. He has like one free bus route.
Right, exactly. People will be like, look what he did. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. We got a free bus ride.
Yeah,
and they'll just like 4 years from now they'll be looking to vote everybody in that's a socialist.
Yeah.
So that's the pinnacle that we're on right now.
Or what's interesting? One of his main, I guess we can kind of end around here because we're running over anyway, but because this is an actual question. I don't know if you guys have heard about this or heard what his explanation. I've heard him specifically use numbers for the buses. That's it. He says if by raising taxes we have enough for the buses. But like free childcare seems like it'd be immensely expensive.
Incredibly expensive.
Like I don't even know because you have to hire what are you just opening like daycares that are city-run daycares? Is that the idea? So,
which is scary.
So you only hire one or two people, but like a teacher, like it's pretty much taking public school and going down to infancy.
Expensive. It's a huge number.
Really, like that seems totally impossible. And then secondarily, or second of the policies,
by the way, they said if he's controlling the child care, who do you think he's going to hire? To run those child care centers, right? It's going to be all like-minded people.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh,
so they're going to have your kids from the time they're like 2 years old, teaching them.
Oh, they're doing the indoctrination thing, but they've been doing that for a long time.
No, they have been.
They've been doing that for a long time.
That's part of the plan. That's the takeover plan, right?
Yeah.
Because, they slowly spread their word around.
Yeah.
And then you just have a whole group of people that don't know anything other than you need to take stuff from us.
Yeah.
You got to get your free stuff from us.
Yeah.
Keep paying us because you got to get your free stuff. Otherwise, you can't live.
Yeah. But that and then the social workers, right? His solution to the crime problem is to send social workers out to like let cops focus on shootings and stabbings and whatever.
Listen.
But No, my argument isn't even about like the ineffectiveness of it is clear to me, and I'm sure a lot of social workers will be. If he does this, a lot of them are going to be killed, and that's terrible. I was gonna say. It's like, but that aside, who do we already have? Does or not even NYPD? Does New York City employ like brigades of social workers, or is he going to hire at what I'm imagining is a good wage, right? Like that's his whole argument. He wouldn't be able to hire them for cheap. He's going to hire 1,000.
The city definitely has social workers, right?
Well, right, but are they? But they're trained in how to. Just what he's saying, they are trained in doesn't to me what a social worker is, right? Which is like goes to do like like it does welfare checks and things like that, right?
That's
like
what I'm thinking.
That's my mind. What a social worker is when a kid like CPS checks or whatever.
Yep.
I don't think they're all trained. Like I don't think they're going to boot camp to learn how to deal with like a psycho on the bus who's a legitimately crazy person.
What are they going to do? They're going to send them along with a cop, like, and the cop's going to control the situation. They're going to try and talk the person.
He said they're going to. I specifically listened to one of his things where he said they're going to send them first, and then if it escalates, send a cop. I'm like, once it escalates, it's too late. That's what everybody would say about crime. Always.
You're not going to have enough cops around to go everywhere because you're going to.
But you already don't have enough cops. Well, he said we have enough cops.
There's 2,000 that can retire in January alone. That have enough of time. So like,
they're out. They're out.
There's 2,000.
None of them are staying,
and they're already.
And people have they've been leaving.
That they should be at.
Yeah. Well, because it's so hard to be a cop.
It's terrible to be a cop.
It's awful.
And it's going to be worse under him because he doesn't support the cops.
Yeah.
No matter what he says, he doesn't support the cops.
No.
You know, and sending social workers in, somebody's going to get killed. Somebody's going to get killed.
Totally.
You know.
Totally. Like bad. Probably a lot. I mean, it depends on how long it goes. But like,
you could ask cops.
I don't know if it was Mamdani,
but
they
deal with crazy people all the time. There's more and more homeless people that are not on medication anymore, people that are just
all
the
over.
Crazy.
Well, how often you see like just somebody got stabbed? There was a guy. There was just somebody got he worked at a church, and some homeless guy comes in like wants to use the bathroom. He had been kicked out of this church. He's probably they said he was like a known troublemaker. He wasn't like just. They were clearly going to try to frame it like poor homeless man gets denied from a church, like evil Christian guy. But it was like he's a known whatever. And the guy's like, you can't use the bathroom, like it's for whatever. And then he stabs him with a box cutter. I'm like, a social worker's going to go, hey man, like you can use our bathroom. And the guy's going to go, that's the whole reason I stabbed the guy. I'm like, if you're going to stab a guy, I've gotten denied. I've had to go to the bathroom.
I know
I shit my pants one time because they wouldn't let me use the bathroom. I didn't stab the guy. You know what I mean?
I mean that one.
They talk about it a lot, but I don't see how that plan works.
I just don't see it. I don't see it.
It won't.
I mean, I'm sure it just won't come to fruition, and he'll blame something else.
Honestly, who would want to be a social worker and put
if that's the thing that you're doing?
Situation.
And it won't be good money.
Yeah, they're like, I'm the guy who goes without a weapon.
This guy's screaming.
Crazy guy in the train. I gotta go talk to him.
Kill his wife.
Go talk him off a ledge.
Kill his mother. Could you go over there and talk to him?
Yeah.
Like with nothing.
Yeah, it's like a hostage situation, but you're just a free.
Take some paperwork
and be a nice guy.
And they won't get paid. They'll get paid like $40,000 as well.
Just to do that, to put themselves in danger.
Yeah. Well, really, it's all down. Well, I guess you want to just cut it off here. We're at like 45.
We can end it. Well,
I don't know. I was just thinking.
Thought?
I kind of lost it actually. Well, I was just thinking crazy people. What was it? What was I gonna say?
Send somebody over. Guy's gonna kill his wife or his mother.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing. Domestic violence is one of the apparently, like statistically, it escalates. Cops get involved like bad
all the time,
and like that's like the kind of prime social worker thing because it's like because it's not necessarily an immediately violent event. It's not a shooting.
It builds,
but like that's the kind of thing that they'll get and like nobody, like there's tons of videos of like domestic violence immediately going to stabbings and shootings
with the person, right? So they don't want he doesn't even want people in prison at all.
Just talk to him. Stop having him be crazy, and then let him walk away.
What if the social worker goes to the house, right? You calm him down for the minute, and then you walk away.
And then you walk away.
And then what? What did you solve?
He says he wants to get them into the proper services, but it doesn't seem like we have those. So like more money, more things that we have to like.
That was a whole nother $1 billion that disappeared under de Blasio. Yeah. That was supposed to be for that type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, they got to open sanitariums again, except that there's crazy people.
They're not going to do it.
Oh, that's what it was. I was saying all of this stuff is, I think personally, and this is where the indoctrination is like at its purest, is it really all flows from that idea, and I know I've talked about it on the podcast, but this general, like, I think it's considered like the basis of postmodernism, which is like the world is made up of oppressors and oppressed. Mm-hmm. So when there's some poor homeless guy on the train who's crazy, the argument of the entire, like the general left of like whatever is, well, it's not his fault. Right. None of this is his fault. So you can't come down, you can't arrest him and throw him in jail because like he had a hard life and this and that. And the other side would just go, all right, all that I feel bad about. And like, if he sought out help, I would hope he could get some. And like, we should have, generally people would agree, we should have, healthcare or not healthcare, health professionals or mental health professionals that can like help a guy who is crazy. But at the end of the day, you're making decisions, right? If you're making decisions because you're crazy and those decisions make you kill people or stab people, you shouldn't be on the street.
Nope.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
But that doesn't mean the solution is to just let you roam around.
Exactly.
Like that's
That's
but it all comes from that this is like some poor
that's
fella.
why everybody's out on the street. That's
Right.
Why they didn't
That's
want
the
crazy
whole thing.
people.
That's why they let people. That's why
That's why they want to let the
we
prisoners
can't
out,
lock this
because,
guy up. He's had a hard
he
life.
just came through a hard life. He became a criminal. It's not it's not
Yeah.
his fault.
The
Just
only
let him
people
out.
the only people that want to lock up are like white collar criminals who do like tax
evasion.
fraud or because they're rich and they chose to do crime.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's choosing to do crime. If you really want to make the argument that the truly insane people, the legit schizophrenic guy, isn't choosing to do a crime, I would even say, sure, but he shouldn't be on the street ever.
No,
he should be in whatever your version of the nice jail is for crazy people. When he's probably going to try to kill one of those guys. Like, I'm like, nobody wants to be around a dangerous schizophrenic.
Nope.
It's not the fault of the schizophrenic. I get that. But how was the solution to let him out?
They still need
You
help.
know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
None of it makes sense.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense to me, and I don't see anything getting any better.
Nope.
So, thanks for listening, and as always,
Stay angry and not amused.